This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
I mean, it's true.
That does
Her
sound
shoulders
like
were
Ollie.
very sore from carrying me.
Yeah.
Not really, because I kept dying because of my network issues, but they're fixed now.
Nice.
She always blames the network. It's great.
Good way to start off the evening. Anyway, speaking of good way to start off the evening, this is Party Loaded. It is, in fact, episode 103 for Wednesday, the 15th of November. And I'd like to say that tonight's episode is brought to you by the number 61 and the letter Y. Welcome, everybody. Let's have a good show.
What?
I don't get
What?
that.
Oh, come on. Think about it. Think about it. Anyway, so, yeah, we're here to chat video games. And I'll explain that to Jam after the show.
Say what
Yeah,
more?
no, I don't get it
Say
either.
it
You're going to
more
have to
and
explain
louder.
it to me.
What?
There was this kind of super serious vote thing that happened today. Come on, guys. Wake up. Jeez.
Oh, I thought we were leaving it. Oh, yeah.
Right.
That was
Well,
way
yeah.
out left
Yeah.
there. We were talking about Destiny, dude. I was so
obscure,
far
man, too
removed
obscure.
from the plebiscite. Yeah.
Anyway, anyone who's listening from overseas, Australia had a bit of a win today, and I think we're all feeling pretty good for it. So anyway, not to get
marriage
too
equality.
political.
Yay, rainbows.
Yep, we're all in a very, very loving mood, all spewing rainbows and ready to have a great show. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Video games. Mimo, speaking of love and searching for love, I want to hear the
And
continuation of your Sawdry tale from last week, featuring one
My
Mr.
Sawdry?
Buck
Do you mean my
Wild.
tawdry tail?
Yeah,
Tawdry
did you
tail.
say Sawdry?
I think I
said
meant sultry and tawdry at the same time, and I
Or
just
sordid.
smashed the two together.
Yeah.
That's grotty.
You can't just do that. You can't just do that, Luke. There's people who decide what are words and what are not.
Yes.
And I am not one of them.
Nope.
Thank
Thankfully.
God.
Yeah. So yes, as Luke mentioned, speaking of rainbows, I completed Dream Daddy. Question mark.
So you can add that to the
So-
absolutely ever-growing list of games you finished this year, which is actually pretty good.
So,
Well, to be fair, I'm going to preface that by saying this year I was aiming to finish AAA titles, and I don't know that we can consider Dream Daddy to be a AAA title. It was pretty
but
big.
you've done
but-
both, to be fair. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But I finished PUBG, right? That's a game that I finished. Anyway, I finished Dream Daddy, and
and
I've forgotten the name of the daddy that I chose. Oh, no,
Really?
I remember it again. So the way that this works is you get to a certain point and you sign up to Dad Book, which is Dream Daddy's version of Facebook, and then you can contact each one of the dads that you've met and go on dates with them. Now, you can go on 2 dates with them, and when you choose to go on the third date, it comes up with a little thing that says, are you sure third date's, serious territory? Are you sure you want to commit to this dad? And so I did that with one. I was like, oh, I'll do a couple of other second dates. Well, you guys were playing something else, I believe, and I was busy playing that. And yeah, so I went on a couple of dates, which were kind of cool. I went on a date with Dream Daddy's version of Matt Mercer. He was kind of creepy, but he had all of this cool knowledge. Like, he taught me about flowers, and that in the Victorian era, like, to give flowers actually was a way of communicating messages, which was cool because they couldn't, like, convey love to each other. What else did I learn? I learned that the mistake that I made earlier on in the game, that guy was still a dick. Even though I tried to go on 2 dates with it. Basically, like, you click to contact them on Dad Book, and I thought that just, like, set up a scenario where you went on a date. But this guy, you contact him and you just get no response from him. You just give up on him eventually. I was like, oh, cool. So I don't know if that would have been different had I played my cards differently. I don't know. But I ended up with Brian. Brian is the quote-unquote bear
Sounds so
of the
disappointed.
Dream Daddy group.
Oh, so he's not the one that we
he-
watched you carousing with at all? It was... Because the one you were just mentioning, like, you know who that reminded me of?
Matt Mercer.
It reminded me of Dorian Gray from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That
yeah,
guy.
kind of like that.
Yeah.
That's what he kind of looked like. So it was between him and Brian. They were both like really sweet. But what it came down to in the end is that Brian had a daughter that my daughter in the game got on with really well. And like his daughter was a lot younger but super smart, and so she was struggling to fit in, and my daughter and her got on really well. And I was like, that's kind of sweet. And yeah, then you choose your final. I went on my final date and we lived happily ever after. It was very sweet, and there was lots of great narrative storytelling that described like these two men, me, Buck, and Brian falling in love. And I really enjoyed it. And I haven't looked, but I kind of want to go back, and it's all of these achievements that I feel like I want to go back and get. Like there's all these mini games that you can do in the dates, like you can go fishing and play putt-putt, which Jam watched me play, which was intense. That was
nuts.
so difficult. And all sorts of stuff. Instead of like, a regular like golf with your friends type scenario, it's more like the ball just wildly swings left to right as an angle, and you just click when it's sort of in the right direction, and it goes so fast. Like how I managed to get the points that I did, I never know. But yeah. Solid game, would play, and the most exciting part is that Luke has committed to me that he would also like to play this game now. So
Oh,
After watching it,
Calling you out,
I'm kind of curious.
It was
no,
hilarious.
that's not what you said. You said
not what you
I'm
said.
definitely going to play this game.
Oh no, I definitely will. I'm just sort of saying why. It was a case of, I mean, the game is
jokes.
still a dating sim, but I think that the different
Dad jokes?
paths in it actually are quite interesting. Like the way that the character you
Dad
choose,
jokes?
and well, no, I didn't see any of the dad jokes, so I can't speak to that.
You missed all of the dad jokes. You actually
There's so
stopped
many
watching
good
me
ones.
just as an epic dad joke happened as well.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I mean, all I really saw you do was have like a tea party, go out into some dude's garden, get told that the flowers reminded him of hate, and then you broke one of his gargoyles. So that's my recollection.
And I had to put it back together really quickly.
Yeah.
It was like,
a minigame.
Bill,
We were trying to help,
gargoyle.
but we had
Yeah.
a 15-second lag, so we're like, no, left, wait, she's on a different piece.
I was like, yeah, guys, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steam need to fix that. I need to figure out how I fix that, because that's super annoying when you guys view my
Might be
games.
the default to stop like stream
It is indeed the default.
rubbish.
Aw, man. But then, like, and then people are like, wait for it. And then
there
was
it
funny.
is.
That was
there
very
it
funny.
is.
Just to compare this to, say, like Hatterful Boyfriend, for example, one of the reasons why I didn't like Hatterful Boyfriend is because it seemed like the whole game was just a dialogue point and click adventure. There wasn't any of that minigame stuff.
Bad dialogue.
Yeah, and the dialogue was terrible, and like it seemed like the premise of the game was the major draw as opposed to the actual gameplay. Whereas this, because it's got all that activity stuff sort of built into it, it just seems like a much more fun experience. So, yeah.
Ollie, I think I know how to make it appeal to you. Firstly, for lols, if a dad finds something romantically interesting, he gets little like love hearts pop out.
This is
And
the
if he
best.
finds it sexually interesting, some eggplants pop out, like shower around him.
And they can do both. So if you
Also-
really hit the nail on the head, you get both.
Also, if you get curious about someone's library and pick up a particular book, you end up reading a bit of Naruto fanfic.
Oh man, that
God.
fanfic was intense.
So funny. I was sitting here and I yelled out, "Holy shit, that's Naruto fanfic!" And I didn't know that my brother was online with friends and they heard every word of that. It was funny.
Oh, good
Whoopsies.
times. Yep. All right, so Dream Daddy, good
Done.
review in the end. It sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done.
And
also,
yeah, go.
I got beaten. Well, we both got beaten by Jason this week.
Ah,
He's
yes.
completed both Undertale and Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yep. Well done.
Before either of us could do it, but
Round
yeah,
of applause.
Shocking
good job.
twist that everyone
Go
saw
for it.
coming.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is the outcome we predicted, I believe.
I had an evil plan. Well, not an evil plan. I just had a plan, and I'm not making this up because I did have this conversation with Jam, and there was going to be like I had this secret plan, and what I was going to do was like finish the game, and I was actually going to send a picture to Ollie and to Jam only, and not to you, Luke. And so when Jason put it up, you'd be like, "Oh, you got shat on," like on the podcast, and then I was going to share with you the picture with
you know-
the date stamp.
Do you know what's absolutely hilarious? I had the exact same plan.
Jam and I would both be there like, yes.
Ow.
You know,
Yeah, so-
what would have been ridiculous is if we both did it at the exact same time and both didn't know
Yeah.
that the other had done it. That would be hilarious.
Like kudos to Jason. The thing is, my time has been my enemy, and that's not an excuse. That's I should have just got more time to play it, but I did not.
Yep.
But I will still. This year. I'm still aiming for this year.
Yep. Ditto.
You can do it.
It can be our death
This
packs.
financial year.
This financial year.
Financial year? Yes, Jam. Yes.
Chinese year?
The Chinese New Year.
No, that's
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
That's significantly less.
But it's more forgiving, I feel.
Well, it's only going to work if we don't keep getting distracted by other stuff that we keep going back to the well for. So, yeah, we had some fun this week. So, Jam, do you want to tell everybody about our GTA experience?
We had a GTA experience. One of our friends very insistently said, let's play GTA, because new stuff came out. I can't even remember what the new stuff was. What was the new stuff?
Well, the most recent stuff was the addition of the bunkers and the gun running update.
Yeah, there was something else.
There was the
happened a
transform
week ago.
races as well, which I haven't played yet.
Yep,
Transform
yep,
races
yep.
and the hanger ones. They're the gun running ones, I think.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
So he's desperately keen to get his own little organization running, but he doesn't have the funds. So he's like, you guys get on, I need to make money through your organizations. Now it went from me having a CEO thing and a motorcycle club to everyone having a motorcycle club with different, like Ollie's got a hangar, Luke's got a bunker, Ari's working on
Spunker.
his, I think, cocaine.
Yeah, he's got a
I've lost
cocaine
track.
field.
He's working on his cocaine field.
I've got a
proudly
weed
stated.
farm now. It's hilarious.
It's great
The
that we've
game-
all got different stuff. It's awesome how that works
Yeah.
out.
The mechanics of it are pretty fun. And I like that we're starting to get to the vehicle bits because I jumped on with Luke to do one of his bunker missions the other day. And we
Oh,
ended
this
up,
was so good.
I was in a cargo bob, like hoisting him in a tank through the air as he was firing from the tank at helicopters.
Yep. It was some A-Team
It was
movie bullshit.
Glorious. It was glorious. We were very good at it. It should be our standard means of transport.
Yep.
And since then we've just done a whole heap of different things. It's probably one of the biggest issues has been modded servers and griefers. Like I don't mind if people are, interfering with our work because they're on the server. That's how it's supposed to happen. And if you succeed, you actually can get bonuses based on how many people are on the server because they recognize that it's more difficult. But when it's a modder just making you explode or your vehicle explode, that's just crap.
Yeah. Yep.
It's dumb.
Completely agree.
It's dumb because you lose your investment in the mission too.
Yep.
If it's a delivery mission. So
Sometimes that investment can be pretty big too. Like I did a delivery mission from my bunker the other day that, basically I had about $75,000 on the line, and if my cargo blew up or like some shenanigans happened, I would have lost the whole lot. It was a all or nothing kind of mission. Yeah,
and it can get even bigger if you've got a massive warehouse that you stock to the brim to get the maximum profit. So interesting, but the hangar ones are exceptionally fun because each of the missions seems to have a different aircraft type that you get to use.
So good.
And they're amazing. And oh my gosh, so much fun. Yeah, so we dove back in pretty hard.
Yeah, the delivery mission that I did was a lot of fun as well. You actually have like a massive Mack truck to make the sort of delivery, and I had quite a way to travel. And you basically come out of your base at a starting police wanted level of 3 stars. So you've got just about every cop car around like gunning for you. But your semi-trailer has like a giant sort of triangular snowplow on the front, and you can literally just hammer down the freeway and just smash cars out of the way without even breaking your steps. So cop cars try and set up barricades in front of you, and you just play games with yourself to see how far you can launch them. Basically, it's hilarious. So yeah, I managed to do that one solo, and I was giggling like a little schoolgirl the whole time. It was hilarious. So, I was having a great time. Yeah, those missions are fun. I forgot how fun the actual sort of building a criminal empire stuff was in GTA, because most of the times when we've been going back to it sort of prior to this recently, we've just been like hopping on and doing random races and just killing each other randomly for funsies and that sort of thing. But actually, doing the narrative is fun. It's cool.
We figured out how to do the riding information thing for motorcycle clubs too, which is amazing.
Cool.
Even also hilarious because I had these idiots behind me like trying to run each other off the road. But while you're riding information, you are regenerating health, armor, and your vehicle's repair. So if you're doing a difficult escort mission or something, it's a good way to stay alive considering you're super squishy on your motorbike. And we all played on motorbikes at the insistence of our Presidente, Ari, because he wanted us all on theme, even though he was dressed as the Joker while we were in our, like, cutoffs. But whatever.
I really need to buy a motorbike, like a decent one, because I still don't have one.
Oh, yeah, you weren't, because, yes, you do need a motorbike.
Yeah, just pick up a random one from
fun,
the road.
though.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the bikes are cool. I mean, you're significantly more exposed when you're on a bike, but you can be a lot more nimble and zip around, so that's good. But
just that flavour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm keen to sort of make this a regular every few nights thing at the moment, just to sort of build up some funds and play with some more stuff. So, yeah.
But that would interfere with my other regular every few nights thing.
Yeah, which is what, Jam?
Destiny on PC. So I jumped on for the third time on Saturday and got from 255 to 283, and I've hit a plateau. I need this week's weeklies to get me that special gear to bump me up again, because everything that was dropping at the same level.
A question for you, Jam. Have they stopped doing the Flashpoint missions? Is that no longer a weekly thing? Because I didn't notice that pop up this week.
I think it's still there. I'm pretty sure I did it. Oh, I can't remember.
Okay, interesting.
I'm getting mixed up between what I've played on PlayStation and what I've played on PC.
Yeah,
you know me and my memory.
That's fair.
It's all a blur.
Yeah. And how are you progressing, Ollie? You've been actively sort of pausing from Destiny, so...
Yeah, I'm now at just shy of level 15, so Jamwa was helping me with a couple of adventures and stuff to help me level up so I can continue on with the narrative. Because, I am enjoying the storytelling aspect. I'm finding already the missions to be a little bit grindy and repetitive, so I'm basically just playing it for the story at this point.
Okay. How much of the side content are you doing, just out of interest?
Enough to level up, basically. Like enough to get to the checkpoints for the story missions, so a few adventures here and there. But yeah, overall, I'm enjoying it, but its game is gorgeous, but at the same time, I'm like, there's a reason I can quite happily take big breaks from it.
Yeah.
I think that will change, though, once I reach level 20 and start like doing the raids and the other bits and pieces with you guys.
Yeah.
Then it's a bit more sociable. Yeah, a bit of PvP and stuff like that.
You have to do Trials of the Nine. I've never tried it. It would probably be rubbish, but we need to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I've discovered that I'm all right at PvP in Destiny. Would you believe? And I'm on my controller. I'm on my controller on PC.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't understand why you're doing that, but okay.
I don't know. It's probably hacks and aim assist and shit. That'll be Ollie's claim.
No, just bullshit aim assist. It's fine.
Yeah, bullshit aim assist. I like it. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't love aim assist?
Oh, pro tip. Most people will know this, but it turns out a couple of people in our group didn't. In PvP, crouch to stay off people's radar. Super handy when you need to live.
So when you say staying off people's radar, it just hides your nameplate above your head? Is that how it works?
You don't... No, you don't blip on their radar.
Oh.
You're not a red blip.
Right, okay. That makes more sense.
So you can creep up, and if they're, like, focused on their radar, you know, preferably you creep up behind cover, because otherwise, duh.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good in just getting the jump on people sometimes. Yeah. I'm still stuck to my Mida, though. It's Old Faithful. Some other people are having really good luck with other guns, but I'm like, it ain't broke. I don't want to fix it. Plus, I love having the radar up, 100% of the time.
Yeah. Yep. Makes sense. So, all right, well, let's kick off from our recent gaming into some actual news. So there's been some big news of the week surrounding the Battlefront II controversy. So no doubt a few people listening to our show might have heard snippets of this already, but in case you're just catching up.
I love you, Internet. I love you. You are so entertaining.
Oh, my God. So, all right, anyway, Star Wars Battlefront II has just released this week. I think it's only over the last couple of days. But prior to that, there was the EA early access thing that they do. And it seems that since they did the beta period, and there was a lot of negative feedback around the loot box progression structure and the pay to win stuff that we spoke about on the show before. Actual end product, it turns out, is actually a lot worse than everybody anticipated. So, not good. The big things of note was that a few of the key characters that were a lot more attainable in the first Battlefront are locked behind a massive paywall to purchase outright, or if you want to grind through the game and actually spend the time to get the in-game funds to unlock them. For characters like Luke Skywalker and and Darth Vader in particular, you're looking at, they did the calculations, it was around 40 hours plus. So that was, okay, so that was basically the initial story. Now, things have evolved since that point. So there was a response posted by one of the EA community managers on Reddit, basically explaining that the tuning that they had done to those items and the amount of time and in-game currency required to unlock them was meant to be representative of the prestige level associated with those items, and they wanted people to feel really special, having to sort of work towards them. And the internet went wild. So,
Thank you, internet.
Oh man, this was
Reddit.
hilarious. So,
Reddit, you are great.
now, Jam, you can probably answer this a bit better than us because you're a bit more of a Reddit sort of person than the three of us.
Redditoire.
Downvoting a post on Reddit, that's essentially like a negative like, isn't it? It's like on YouTube when you vote against a
so
thing.
the balance of votes at the moment, since they tweaked the measurement system, it's more representative of vote for vote, so like a direct 1-for-1. And the post is, the balance of upvotes and downvotes. So if it's a positive result, you've got more upvotes than downvotes by X amount. There have been some comments, some posts in the past that have, had some rather large negative attention, but this one from the community team has surpassed anything previously thought conceivable. I think at time of recording it's at negative 700,000. So at least 700,000 downvotes on top of whatever upvotes it may have obscurely got. And a single account can only vote once.
Yep.
So clearly bots involved. I'm assuming there's some bots involved. But even aside from that, the amount of negative attention it received so quickly at posting is phenomenal. It's just, and now everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. There's this huge circle jerk going on. If you post something about like laughing at EA, you get a rake in the karma. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yep. And to draw a comparison, like over 700,000 downvotes on this one thread from the EA community representative answering.
It's not a thread, it's one comment.
Sorry, one comment rather.
It's one comment in a thread.
So
it's one lonely little comment.
The next highest competitor is a thread that had, or a post that had about 20,000 downvotes. And that was a post that actually the person who put it up was requesting people to downvote it. So, wow. Yeah, it's insane.
It's nuts.
So yeah, EA
It's nuts, and it's because the community feels like they're being treated like they're idiots.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, stuff has happened since then. EA has rightly so turned around and said, "Shit, we need to make some changes." So they have reduced the in-game cost of most of those characters by about 75%. Which on one hand you might view as a bit of a positive move in the right direction, and on the other hand it pretty clearly demonstrates how much they were trying to fuck people in the first place. So, yeah.
Well, didn't somebody say that you could watch like all of the Star Wars movies and whatever else
and cartoons
and you still would have to play the game for longer?
Yep.
Oh, that would only unlock 3 characters for you out of the series of characters.
Yep.
Also, I heard, and I don't know if it's true, that they're doing an AMA.
Oh, that's going to go well.
I would not want to be that person.
I don't know if that's true, but that will be interesting.
There is not enough money in the world for me to represent EA on Reddit. No, thank you.
And it's really, like, people are so upset. They're actually coming up with very comprehensive and feasible ways to protest. They're saying, tweet at Disney and tweet at family groups and say, this Disney-related endeavor is promoting gambling to children. Yeah, it's amazing the lengths people are going to. And there was a screenshot of someone unsubscribing from the game and getting contacted by customer support asking, oh, could you please tell us why, not unsubscribing, like cancelling their pre-purchase. Can you please tell us why? And their answer was just the same as all the others. And the reply was, right. So, like, those poor people, because they're just doing a job. Be nice to them. Don't be cruel to them. They're just doing a job. It's not their fault. But they'll be just, oh my God, I feel so bad for them having to, deal with and process all of this anger.
Yeah. And there has been the usual sort of absolute sort of extreme shitheads involved as well with, death threats and things that are way out of proportion for what the issue is. So, yeah. I mean, those people can just get right out of here. So,
My favourite response that I've seen so far is this little picture on Imgur that I posted in the call chat where it's Anakin and Obi-Wan at the lava planet going, "You can't win, Anakin. I have purchased the High Ground paid DLC." And I just fucking love it
so
way
apt.
too much.
Yeah. No, my favourite ones have been Blizzard turning around today and on their social media just absolutely
Jesus.
going ham at EA. So some of the comments have been my personal favourite was Blizzard sort of saying, StarCraft 2, now free to play. Number of pay to win mechanics in this game, 0. It's like, nice work.
Number of hours to
So
unlock
cheeky.
all the characters in StarCraft 2?
Yeah.
Oh, 0.
0. So you gotta chuckle at that kind of thing. But man, the EA has just this week comprehensively destroyed the trust of all of their fans in Battlefront 2 and the company in general. I mean, EA have been the whipping boy of the games industry for quite a while, sort of viewed as the supervillain to a large extent, and this is not done them any favors this
They're
week.
definitely twirling their mustache at this one now.
Yep. Yeah. So, interesting to see where that one's going to head, but I think it's at the point now where no matter what they do, it's kind of cool to hate on EA, so it's not really going to make a dent, unfortunately. So, there you go. Doesn't
Just
change.
with your
I'm not buying
wallets.
the game anymore.
Stick with your wallets.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to buy it if they changed it from the beta, like a significant amount. They didn't, so I'm not.
Well, that's going to be the most disappointing
That
thing,
makes
though.
me
Like,
sad.
after all this controversy, if they still turn around and make a decent amount of bank from the sales of this game or sales of the content, they'll keep doing it again in future. Like, the uprising on the internet is nothing compared to the actual end sales of what they put out. So that's what speaks louder than anything. So,
Well, I don't know the exact statistics, and this is just potentially me just throwing random shit across the internet, which is what I do best. I'm a monkey. Is at the end of the day, games like this, their main audience is probably going to be like parents buying it for little Timmy and little Jane.
especially with the Star
birthdays
Wars
and stuff
brand.
like that.
That's
Because it's Star Wars, and Star Wars is backed by Disney now. And so, you'll have all these hundreds of thousands of Redditors going, "Fuck you, EA." At the end of the day, though, that's not enough compared to potentially the millions of like parents and stuff buying it.
Christmas
Like, they don't pay
presents.
attention to Reddit.
Absolutely.
Let's go. It's
We'll
a Star Wars
see.
game, and my little Timmy wants this, so let's get it. I very much doubt little Timmy's on Reddit going, "Nah, fuck EA." Well, they might be, but I doubt it.
You never know with Reddit.
You don't know
never
Timmy.
Exactly. You never know with Reddit.
I wonder if at some point some of these ratings, organisations like the ESRB and stuff like that will actually have to start putting labelling on products that involves loot boxes because of the potential gambling aspect, almost like a
I
mature
would love
age
the
rating.
shit out of that.
Yeah, I think that would be a good move for some games, but there's a very big grey area as to where does it become that and where does it not. But that's, I guess, where a ratings team has to subjectively look at some of this content and make a call on it. So,
I would be genuinely surprised if in the next couple of years that is not a thing.
yeah, because this trend is
I
not
would
going to
be
go away.
genuinely surprised.
Yeah.
Anywho, so
Moving
another
on.
cool thing happened this week. And that
A cooler
was
thing.
the nominations for the Game Awards have been announced.
Yeah,
which
this morning,
is
actually.
happening
Very
on
cute.
December 7. Yeah, and there's some really cool inclusions. I'm very excited. But one thing I wanted to discuss with you guys, because I don't get it, it's the Game of the Year category. Now, the description.
I'm
The Game
braced.
of the Year category is recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. All.
Yep.
PUBG is in there.
Nope.
I
Don't
love
put it in there.
PUBG. I love PUBG. It's fun as hell. It does not deliver the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. It's not even
No.
released. It's
also
not
buggy
finished.
as fuck.
Yeah.
Beta.
Oh my gosh. I understand. I mean, it probably will, make a lot of people happy. Because if they'd left it out, there'd probably be an outcry.
Oh yeah.
But I just don't think it deserves
Popularity
to win.
does not equal quality.
And
Yeah,
get
it
this,
deserves
it's against
some of its other nominations, but I don't
Yeah.
think it deserves this.
It's against Breath of the Wild, Persona 5, Super Mario Odyssey, and Horizon Zero Dawn. These are all large, extraordinary, well-polished games.
Yep. And all
Super
four of them
polished.
deserve to be in that list, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, the other side of it
100%.
is we've got an indie game as Get Up for Game of the Year.
That's pretty cool,
That's
actually.
in beta. If
Yeah.
it wins, I don't agree with it, but I mean,
No.
if I was
It's
player
cool.
unknown, I'd be patting myself on the back enough to break my arm.
It's true that.
I have a beta game that I developed as a mod for another game, and I just won Game of the Year. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You could dine on that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I sincerely hope it doesn't. I mean, to give you a great example, which one of those other 4 games has a web page as its UI
Yeah.
for the menu? Just going to put that out there.
So if you pay attention to any of the major sort of news sites or places that do sort of Game of the Year sort of, discussions or big articles and things when it comes up to that December period, I think you've seen in the lead up a lot of discussion around whether PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds should be included in that discussion or not. I think it often comes down to 2 points of contention. One is the actual status of it being early access and whether it should be included in that discussion because it's technically not out yet. And that's a little bit tricky because of the timing on this one, because it actually is going to get its 1.0 release in December. So depending on when those different sites sort of do their deliberations, it may or may not fall within that window. And with the Game Awards especially, that technically is going to be happening just before that date, I think. So
That's why they have the most anticipated game category, though.
yeah, well, I don't know. That game category is a whole separate issue. I think that category is bullshit. It's a bit of a marketing sort of stunt more than anything. It's like, most anticipated game, what the fuck does that actually mean? Like, no one's actually played these games yet. It's just,
Just excited.
What does it actually mean?
Hype levels.
Yeah,
Just
true.
to keep the hype
Measuring the
going.
hype.
But that's why it's a
I like
marketing
it.
thing. Yeah, I like it too, but it's not an actual award category.
It's marketing by the games industry, though. It's not. It's the global
Yeah.
games industry. It's not
It
marketed by
supports
the
the game
yeah.
industry.
But anyway, as far as
There is
PUBG
categories
goes,
that are marketing.
the early access thing aside, the other thing is, whether it actually deserves to be there because of the technical stuff that all the other games are recognised for. And the fact that PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds doesn't appear in many of the other categories, I think it's in like 1 or 2 maybe, is a good
It's in
indicator
best
that it...
multiplayer and best ongoing, which I think are valid.
That, I mean,
Yeah, I think
that's
those are
totally
both
valid.
Worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
none of the other stuff. Like, it definitely doesn't have the best sound design. It definitely doesn't have the best graphics, gameplay, best action game. None of that stuff. It would never come close to any of those categories. So, yeah. The early access thing is a conversation that we need to evolve a bit, because as time goes on, there's going to be games every single year that aren't properly released. And when is a game actually ever released these days? With games as a service and things ongoing, like, there's a lot of games that... Minecraft's the classic example. I mean, Minecraft was in beta for years and years and years, but that one should have been considered early on for some of these things because of the massive sort of impact it had on the industry. It's like one of the best-selling games of all time. And it was in development for how long? Like 5 or so years? Yeah.
Ages.
To be fair, Trending Gamer also, Dr. Disrespect is in there, and Disrepect, apparently, according to this website. Guy Beam is up for Streamer of the Year as well, and I think he
Shroud
owns
is too.
a lot of his gameplay at the moment is PUBG, and has solidly been PUBG since it became the new hotness. I think
Shroud
that
too,
PUBG
it's
aside,
popular.
I am super proud of one game in particular. I knew Horizon Zero Dawn were there. I knew Breath of the Wild was going to be there. I knew they were going to fight against each other. I'm surprised at Super Mario, but I mean, I'm hearing good things. I haven't really played a lot of it. But Persona 5. Yay! Yes, absolutely yes. Talk about transitioning from being a niche game or followed by, a specific group of people, being able to not only be Game of the Year, but it's in all sorts, it's in RPG, it's in all sorts of categories. I am
score,
so surprised.
100%
surprised.
deserves to be there. It's
It
so
deserves to be there, but
fantastic.
I'm just overjoyed that it managed to make it into that category. It definitely deserves to be, but I guess my opinion of Persona 5 when we started playing was that there was a market and it wasn't sort of like a global one necessarily. It was kind of, it had a very cult following. So I'm super happy for Persona 5 to be there. I mean, poor Horizon Zero Dawn. I definitely think, that would for sure be what I would like to see win. But since it came out so early in the year, it's facing Mario, which is capturing the hearts and minds of the world, as well as PUBG. If PUBG wins and Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't even get a lick in any category, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah, there will be bloodshed.
The only reason it might is because it's a popular vote.
But it's not. Some categories are a popular vote. Most of the key ones, though, are voted on by industry professionals who, won't get...
I mean, I literally just voted on Game of the Year just now.
Yeah. But that I think they announced the popular vote, but it's not actually what determines who actually wins it. It's more just
It
I
contributes.
fucking hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it contributes. Because otherwise they'd have like trolling left, right, and centre,
Yep.
I'm sure. The most interesting one for me, and like all of the other ones, like I'm glad to see like some indie games up there. Hellblade, which I haven't had a chance to play, it's pretty cool.
So good.
Best sound
but for
design as
me-
well. So it's good.
Yeah, what remains of Edith Finch in Games for Impact as well as indie titles. Super happy with that one. You guys need to play it. I'm
Yeah.
not going to start
Yeah.
saying this anymore.
You guys need to play Night in the Woods. I'm just
Yeah.
going to put
Yeah.
that one out there.
I'm
Yeah,
keen on
that's-
both of
that's
those.
solidly on my
There's a
list.
couple of other indies mentioned that I didn't even know about until I saw them on that list. So I'm just like, oh man, I've got to play more of this stuff.
Hidden Folks, I believe, and I will have to look into this more, and when we do like more of a full topic on the Game Awards, I believe Hidden Folks is Australian, and it's in best mobile game, and I believe it was developed as part of the Game Jam this year.
Oh, there you go.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Either that or the team who were working on it were also there. I just remember seeing lots of stuff coming out from Game Jam, and it was that art. So it's really cool. No, interesting for me though is best family game is so Nintendo. Like no one got a look in. Like you've got Splatoon 2, Sonic Mania, which is now a Nintendo title, Mario Rabbids, which is available on other things, but it's Mario, so it's still a Nintendo property. Mario Kart 8 and Super Mario Odyssey. I mean, Nintendo have nailed this genre.
They've had a
Got
good
the
year.
show.
Well, two
Yeah.
of the ones up for Game of the Year in Nintendo. I mean, when do you remember a time when that happened? When do you remember a time when a new Zelda game and a new Mario game were out, not only in the same year, but also vying for the top spot across the entire calendar year?
Yeah, I don't think I've never seen that.
That's
I don't
ridiculous.
think.
Yeah.
I would never have considered them in the same breath. There we go. Good pun, Imogen. Thanks, Imogen.
Wild.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm super keen. The best art direction, I'm glad to have played majority of those games, other than Zelda. And I don't own a Switch, so Zelda's not going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, it's like this list is my shopping list now. There is things on here that I need to play. There's things I definitely won't play, like Resident Evil 7. Stuff that. Not playing it.
Such a good game, though.
Just not playing it.
If you can hold off to the event itself, like a lot of them go on sale too, so that's a good opportunity to pick some stuff up.
Oh yeah, like and Game of the Year. Like, I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn's already got a Game of the Year edition from another award that it got, and so does Breath of the Wild, I believe. Does it have a Game of the Year edition? I don't know.
Might have something that includes the
knowledge?
DLC, perhaps bundled up together. Yeah. But I look. One thing that I really like about the Game Awards this year is the changes they've made to some of the categories. So I don't think they've dropped any per se, but they have added a few new ones. So they've got a new category for best ongoing game, which I think is a very valid inclusion.
That's
given,
a good thing
That's
to have,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
given
I
stuff
agree with
that's
that
going on. And
completely.
some of the games that appear in that as well are actually games that have been out for quite a while. So League of Legends and Dota being a couple of examples.
GTA.
GTA, yep, another good example.
Another small one, that one.
They've got a new best student game category, which has actually been voted on by a special panel, which is a very, very cool thing
That's
to add.
Really
awesome.
like that as well.
So
Yep.
cool. Yeah.
Best debut indie game as well. So for first-time developers publishing, they're going to get some recognition for that specifically. And they've split the category they had last year, which was a combined mobile and handheld category, into their own separate ones. So they've got best mobile game and best handheld game separately this year, which is good.
Well, that's the Switch, right?
Yeah, well, I think that might be one of the things that prompted the change. But it means that more games get a look in, which I think is a good result for all concerned. So.
Also,
Yeah.
best Chinese game.
Yeah, they've got some
Thanks, sponsors.
sponsorship deal going with Tencent, so that's an interesting one. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, for their viewers in China as well. And it's one of those things that there is a whole other industry there that we
market,
don't
yeah.
get because they don't develop games in English. So unless you speak Chinese or you're incredibly dedicated to picking up what you can, then it's a little bit difficult. But I think that's kind of cool. I think that's acknowledging a more global industry, and I like it.
yeah,
I'm on board.
that is fair. Cool.
Much
cool.
better webpage this year for Game of the Year awards. So
Yes.
thegameawards.com/awards, and you can look at all of the nominees. 102 games.
Yep,
It's a big
Winners.
shopping list.
it is a big
Yeah,
shopping. There's
it's a
definitely one you
huge
should check out, though, for sure. Yeah, so we'll come back around on that at a future date when the awards actually happen. We'll talk about sort of what went down and what we think of that. So, but in the meantime, we have a topic to get to tonight. So we have had a bit of a sort of concurrent theme this year, which is an interesting one because in a year like 2017, where there's been so many ridiculously good games, and we're having sort of one of our best years in new release games almost ever. The four of us still for some reason, managed to come back round to games that we've played for years and years and years. So, and our discussions this week have been a pretty good example of that. So, getting back to GTA. Last week, you ladies were playing Minecraft again. And this sort of stuff just keeps happening. So tonight, we're going to talk about replay value. So what actually gives these games such good replay value and some of the stuff that we look for in those titles that just keep us coming back time and time again. So, yeah, and for anyone who likes to game on a budget, this might be of interest because we'll talk about some really, really good stuff tonight. Yeah. So, yeah, replay value. Should we start off with maybe just a bit of a discussion of what sort of stuff you think actually contributes to a game's replay value? So we're ideally talking about reasons to come back and play a game after you've completed it the first time. What do you think?
I'll jump in. I'm going to go with a more narrative side of things. So I'm going to look particularly at the story aspect. Mm-hmm. So for me, this could be games which have multiple branching choices, like very distinct choices in the game that you can make that will affect various bits and pieces around it, that can sort of have multiple endings potentially or alternative paths to completion. So like Paragon Renegade, or like what class you go in Dragon Age, that sort of thing, or what route you prefer taking in Dishonored or Deus Ex if you're going like a pacifist, or if you're like Murder's Hobo or whatever. Mm-hmm. So having those different takes on the game allow for very different styles of gameplay and can lead to different endings potentially as far as the narrative is concerned. So for me personally, I find that to be a very good indicator of replayability.
Yeah,
for those style of games.
Can definitely work
That's
in
not every
the
game,
opposite as well. Like, story can often be a reason why you don't want to replay a game because you don't want to just retread the same stuff again. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I'll use myself again as an example for that. I will not replay Mass Effect 1, 2, or 3, or any of the Mass Effect games, actually, I should just say. Because for me, that's the story I have for my Shepard or my Rider.
Yeah.
I don't want to have multiple stories. That is my story. That's the narrative I've picked.
Then
So
you're
I will
missing
never
some
play those games again.
fantastic frickin' dialogue.
I know, and that's fine by me. And I've seen some of the fantastic Renegade dialogue, but I'm very happy with the story I've sculpted for those games.
I agree. See, in my opinion, my first playthrough as Paragon is my canon. And then my second playthrough is just my faffing around.
It's your
fanfic.
Yeah, that's just, it doesn't count. It doesn't count. I'm murderlating everybody. Canon. It's fine. It's fine. But
Alternative
it's
universe.
Don't worry,
just
guys. In another life, I was a paragon. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Yeah. And also the cool thing about Mass Effect, which I think is another thing that's really interesting to promote replayability, is that you can carry over a bunch of skills and progress so that you can continue towards max level, so that you're actually still developing your character and their abilities during the second playthrough, and not to a small degree, to quite a large degree, if you've gone through the story pretty swiftly. So your New Game Plus actually lets you, it feels like a continuation if you don't mind replaying the story with a bit of a different flavour. So yeah, I think that's another good quality, that you don't just either necessarily restart from scratch or, get stuck on this plateau of being max level too much.
New Game Plus is an interesting feature. I mean, it doesn't appear on too many games, but we've had a few recently. Like it's appeared on Horizon Zero Dawn this year. I don't think it's on any of the Nintendo ones we've talked about. I see New Game Plus a lot on a lot of the Eastern games, like a lot of the Japanese roleplay games that come out and that sort of thing. And I mean, typically it allows you to kind of do a second speed playthrough of the game at a speedier rate because you start off with some stuff, like some progression. But I think the first time I ever saw a New Game Plus mode was maybe on one of the really old Resident Evil games, which allowed you to go through and play more as one of the alternate characters, because there was a few that you could play sort of as... Resident Evil 2, I think, was one of the ones where you could play as like Claire or Chris Redfield, if memory serves me correctly. But that's a good way to do it. What about you, Memo? What do you look forward to in games that have good replay value for you?
I'm just the worst person to ask. I'm the person who doesn't read books, even if I super enjoy them. I loathe rewatching movies, even if I really enjoy them. So games have to work pretty hard to make me want to play them multiple times, and will always be multiplayer aspects and a little bit what Jam mentioned around the leveling. So achievements leveling, like playing the same game but like getting better and growing and getting more things. So Armello, I mean, for me is the ultimate example of repay value. Can't remember how much I spent on that game, but it can't have been more than $25, and I have played over 200 hours of that game. So the replay value on that game is ultimate. But I mean, that's what Armello is designed. It's designed to be replayed and replayed and replayed. So an example of other games like Minecraft and why I enjoy them is that leveling. Like, what can I do this time? Like, and Sky Factory, I wouldn't play regular Minecraft again, but Sky Factory gives that challenge. So it's like, okay, see if I can overcome this with what I've learned. Like, so that's almost like that leveling thing. And also multiplayer, 110% multiplayer. Yeah. If you give me a multiplayer game, I'll play it to death.
I think at its core,
people stopped playing Destiny 2 on PS4, and I have not turned on my PS4 since.
Yeah, that's
Aww.
Apart from the social sort of communication and camaraderie and that sort of stuff, I mean, in a mechanical sense, what multiplayer does is it introduces that random element to gameplay. So when other human beings get involved, like things aren't necessarily going to be the same every time. They can artificially
I'm not hearing the
create
same
that.
Story. Yeah, and in Armello, it's different mechanic, and it carries over from board games. Like, board games really are the ultimate replay game. But it's, and it's fairly unusual to find games like the Legacy series that you don't replay those board games necessarily. Well, I guess you can give it a shot. But yeah, the Armello is that sort of sweet spot for me in that, depending on who I play with. And also, Armello's taken on this whole new thing. Like, Jam and I have played so many hours of Armello together at this point that I kind of have to second guess what Jam's doing. And I don't know if it's vice versa, but we kind of, you know what each other like to do and tend to do.
And if you try, there's a metagame going.
So many extra levels. It's like 8-layer chess, guys.
The best.
It's so good. And that for me, like, I'm never going to be a PvP person in that regard, but for Armello and strategy-based games, I freaking love it. I love it.
That carries over to me for PvP multiplayer games. Something like PUBG. It's not winning. It's not a polished, smooth game that I'm enjoying. It's the story I make with my friends every time, which is completely different because we fuck up, because we encounter a different set of obstacles.
9.5 times out of 10, yes.
Yeah. That's what makes it fun. It doesn't have to be a narrative story that's pushed on you and dictated to you. It can be the fun that you can make with it and the tools that you're given, which is also the reason why I absolutely adore Minecraft. Every time I play it with a different group, we have a different kind of fun. We can be, vanilla Minecrafting it. We can be creative. Let's build ourselves a freaking city from scratch. We can be playing mods, and it's just, you make your own fun because it doesn't give you constrictions or limits. The world is your oyster. Yeah. And when you play with a great group of people, that's just gold. It's pure gold because everyone is there making their own fun and jumping in on it and making it better. I adore that.
Minecraft is a really good example of how a game can be designed to not have to rely on just multiplayer to have those random in-game elements as well. Like, I mean, Minecraft, whenever you start a new Minecraft game, you're starting on a different map in a different position. You're finding different sort of gear as you explore. The enemies pop up in different locations. It's not predictable at all. And that itself gives you a really good variety of sort of gameplay. It's kind of similar to another type of game that I like that does that very, very well is like roguelike games. So, and games like Diablo 3 is another good example. So Diablo 3 generates random maps whenever you go into those different locations. The enemies that spawn are different.
Crypt of the Necrodancer!
That's a great example as well. Yep, another good one. So yeah, the fact that every time you try and go through and do those levels, it's totally different. It's a unique challenge. It's a really good way to sort of keep your interest going. So, yeah.
Yeah, and in good snapshots too. You want to appreciate it to the degree where you willing to come back for another little piece later. Like, you can have an ongoing endless game like Minecraft, but others that are, intense, it's sort of directly proportional to the effort I put in, I think. In Minecraft, I'll faff around for hours weeding. Give me a field of grass and I'm just set for the evening. But in something like PUBG, I think it's just the right length to keep me engaged and not get too bored and wanting to come back for more. If it was longer, if it lasted longer, I think I just would not be interested because it would feel like a time sink, considering that there's no ongoing benefit per game. You start from scratch each time. So you've got to match the length of the experience each time to, I guess, the style of play and the effort that's involved.
Yeah,
And that will really help.
some of the most addictive games in history have been really quick ones to play, like Tetris. Great example.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Going back to the GTA example, because it kind of is that new, fresh, ongoing content. So this particularly is stuff like your DLCs and expansions. So having that new content for narrative games, here's an expansion with some new quests and new stories and new characters. For multiplayer games, it's like, here's new maps or here's new weapons, that sort of stuff, or new vehicles.
Yeah,
or even in
Destiny.
Overwatch,
Here's
here's
a new
new
raid.
skins.
Yeah.
New raids, new arenas, whatever. So having a fresh stream of content will always help.
Reasonably
as
priced.
yeah, or free, depending if you're doing it like the GTA one where you're sneakily trying to get them
Yeah.
to pay for in time
Yeah.
Yeah.
or shark cards.
That's the thing. If it's reasonable, it's good.
Yeah.
Overwatch is a really
So
good example with that because of just how fun it is, like without necessarily having to rely on new content. Like just that the basic sort of, run and gun kind of play of Overwatch is just really, really fun and just makes you want to keep repeating it.
I agree.
Yeah, so goal-based stuff is good too. Like a lot of people, do the whole achievement hunting or trophy hunting thing, which often requires you to go back into a game after you finish it. So if you want to get all
You
the
playing Ori
cheese-
versus my play of
See,
Ori.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
Used to be my thing. I used to be pretty keen on getting my Xbox gamer score up by pursuing achievements. One day that just stopped. I don't know why that is.
I'm not super motivated by achievements or trophies per se. Like sometimes I am. I'm getting a little bit more motivated by PlayStation trophies, I must admit. But the thing that often motivates me is when you unlock content in a game by actually completing tasks. So
Oh, yep.
yeah, like you might actually finish a game, and as a result of that, you unlock like whole new areas or whole new characters or bits of a story, and then you want to go back and experience that. So that sort of stuff makes sense.
For me, it might have been around the time of Deus Ex. Was it Human Revolution? Was that the one before last?
Mr. Jensen, yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Did I tell you? I don't know if I've said this story or not before, but I was going for the pacifist run. I wanted that achievement so bad, and I found out near the end that if you shoot them with a sleeping dart in the head, it kills them. I'd gone around thinking
the
I'd been
forever
so
sleep.
careful. I'd taken so much time carefully not alarming people and alerting people, and I didn't realize I was killing half of them.
Turns out, just a mass murderer.
I know. And I was like, oh, stuff that. I'm not doing that again. That was too much effort. But still a great game.
Picking up a mini SNES recently, for me also has reminded me of some of the games from way back then that have almost infinite replay value because they're just so freaking good. Just, I mean, you can't tell me that games like Super Mario World you couldn't just happily sit in front of like repeatedly and run through that. That's, I've seen Imogen do that. That's a thing for a lot of those games. Yeah.
And being able to customize, like Party Crashes and Party Golf that we saw at PAX. The number of ways you can tweak those game modes, oh my god.
Actually,
it would just be a different experience each time because it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
The combination.
Great example for myself in that regards for the tweaking of things. Super Mario Maker.
Yeah.
You can have, there is so much replayability in that because you're like, I would like an easy fun map that looks pretty. Here's one. Oh, look, let's have a level that will just completely destroy my reason for living. Oh, look, there's that one. There's lots of those. So there is so much replayability in games that allow for user-created content, I find.
Oh, yes.
So anything which promotes user-created content, so the heavy modding community as well. Mods are a good one for that because they can allow additional content in a game, and it can be any sort of content. And I don't mean modding as in GTA, I add $1 billion to my account and plop everyone on the map. Modding. I mean, like, we made this cool sword that you can find in this location, or like, we've added 3 quests because we have far too much time and love the game. I love those people, by the way. They're great. Keep doing that. Or like, here's some cool new like graphic updates. So like this game that you played in early 2000 that looks like polygonal crap now looks amazing because we've spent 400 hours HD retexturing everything.
Yeah.
And you're like, awesome. I will now try this game back again.
I've got a funny story of one of the earliest examples of that kind of thing that I ever encountered. And I may have mentioned this to you before, Ollie. So way back in the day before proper video games were a thing, I used to play the old multi-user dungeons, so the text-based sort of multiplayer online games.
Yep.
And there was one that I used to play called Ancient Anguish. It was a really, really fun sort of, very D&D themed one that I played quite a bit. And the structure for that game is that when you actually reach max level and finish leveling up, you could actually complete a whole bunch of sort of world quests and graduate to like a wizard level, which for all intents and purposes in that game was you become a coder. Like you actually get to a level where you join the mod team and start adding content to the game, which, was really cool. So that was a great path of progression, great replay value, because you're actually sort of going towards a goal that at the end of it actually adds up content to the game for other players, which I thought was awesome. So, yeah,
That's really cool, actually.
I like it. It kind of, in a simple way, represents what kind of goes on now, because a lot of people play these other games, they get really good at them, they learn the game back to the front, and then they get interested in the modding community and they go and learn those skills and sort of add to the game in their own way. So, yeah, it's sweet how that kind of happens for different things. And there's no shortage of games that I've sort of considered spending time building stuff for, but, these days it's a lot harder to find the time, unfortunately. But, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, games as a service is a thing these days. Like, we tend to be talking more and more about games that, launch and their focus is on retaining their player base sort of after the initial buzz. And we've seen plenty of examples of that this year. I mean, Destiny 2 being probably the most recent one. Yes, the game does have a purchase price, but it very much is going to survive on, the thriving community past the point of launch. Other games are trying and failing in different ways. Like, obviously, EA has tried with Battlefront, and they're probably going to have a lot of problems with that because of the sort of cost to play that is going to be ongoing for people who get invested in that. But, traditionally, games that have done it really, really well are the ones that we've spent a lot of time in. So, GTA Online, probably one of the best examples around at the moment. Partly because of how much content they've actually released. There's no reason for them to add single player content to that, because the games as a service model with the GTA Online is where it's all at. So how much stuff have they added to that game?
Oh, so much. But I wonder how Red Dead's gonna go, if it's gonna follow the same path. I'm assuming it will.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but I hope it's not at the expense of a quality single player campaign, because GTA 5 has a superb single player campaign. It is fan-friggin-tastic. Yeah.
Agreed.
But it does work for them. And I keep going back because I'm enjoying it. It got a bit ridiculous for a while. It's super expensive to get stuff. But now that I have that set up, it's slightly easier for my character to make money. So I feel like it's back on a reasonable progression, aligning with, my character's earnings, which is good. And yeah, it's quality stuff.
Yeah. Well, as our resident expert on games as a service from her MMO experience, Imogen, what do you like when it comes to games as a service? Are there things that sort of turn you on or off when it comes to stuff like that? What's your sort of limits and lines?
I guess I would be a hypocrite to say that I don't, as a rule. I think it's stupid to continue to pay for games. But having said that, I think my WoW membership ended up being like on average about $15 Australian a month. And considering how many hours I played that game, I buy a game a month easy for about $15 at the moment. And that's just my regular consumption of games, because I keep buying games and not finishing them. And especially evens out with big titles that cost sort of $100. So at the time I was playing WoW and as games for a service, I'm happy to pay for it. That was the only game that I played for that entire period, and I paid $15 a month for it. And if I had paid my total subscription cost up front, I would not have bought WoW. But the fact that it's, a very minor initial purchase price and then games for service, it annoys me if it is not a good service. The same as anything. If I pay for something, I'm expecting a level of quality and a level of engagement. And I've never been disappointed. Like, sure, I didn't continue with the last expansion, but I don't regret paying the money to play it.
Yeah.
I still think it was good. I still got value out of it. I still enjoyed playing it. And again, for me, it's always going to be that multiplayer element. I'm happy to play a subscription for a service that is allowing me to play socially, because I understand what it takes to run the servers that are required to host things like World of Warcraft. And that's not cheap, and I'd rather pay for it and have it exist than not pay for it, and it's just something that one company can't afford to do, or the only company like Blizzard can afford to do. So
yeah. Well, ultimately, the success of these games as a service usually dictates how much content gets added ongoing, and the ones that have been most successful are the ones that have, obviously had a revenue model that doesn't gouge players to the extent that they rebel against it. It's something that people are happy to contribute to because of the number of hours that they play. World of Warcraft and GTA being some good examples. Have you ever felt like, particularly with World of Warcraft, Imogen, that you've been sort of trapped by wanting to leave but not wanting to leave because of the investment that you've put into it? Like that sort of sunk cost fallacy that people find themselves mentally struggling with?
Not me.
No?
I've definitely had friends who like, oh, I've already put like X amount. It's not like I'm buying things, and if I put it away, it's like I don't look at it and say, for Hearthstone, for example, like you've spent X amount of money on Hearthstone cards, so you feel like you have that and you own that. Because what I was paying for was just a literal service. Like I didn't buy mounts, I didn't buy like elements, and they don't go away. Like the best thing about the game like World of Warcraft is my character's there forever, pretty much, until Blizzard changed that policy, which I was worried they were going to start announcing soon. But that my character will remain there. So if I stop playing the game and cancel my subscription and then rejoin up next year, I get the same character. They're retaining everything for me, so I'm not losing anything. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And a game like World of Warcraft will always have expansions, because the day that they announce the end of World of Warcraft will be a sad day.
The end of the world.
The end of the
Warcraft.
world. There's a lot of people whose jobs go into that game. So
Yeah.
there'd have to be something to replace it. But yeah, I've never felt like that. I constantly forget, and maybe, and this has to be an element of games for a service, is, I'm an incredibly lucky person in terms of I have a job and I have a full-time job and I have a good job, and for the majority of my career I've managed to earn an income and everything else. And I know that's not everybody's situation. I'm also single income and I don't have kids, so I have a lot of disposable income to spend on games. So for me, $15. I mean, I paid what, $12 for Spotify, and I pay $12 for Netflix. Like at the end of the day, I'm getting entertainment per month that I think is well worth it.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I don't feel like I'm missing out on it. I feel like I already paid for it. It's like internet. I don't quit. I don't quit a phone, like mobile phone plan, and think, oh, but I spent all that money on this thing.
Yeah.
No, it's time for the next service. It's a service.
You're looking ahead. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we wrap up with some of our individual thoughts on like what we personally prefer in sort of replay value for games? So what actually draws you as an individual in? So Ollie, you want to kick us off? What really sort of floats your boat when it comes to replay?
Okay, so for me, there's three very distinct categories for replayability. The first is narrative choice. So in a single-player game, like an RPG or anything like that, having narrative choice that will give you distinctly different outcomes, and you want to go back. So, for example, for me, going back to my favorite ye olde game, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, I played that multiple times, multiple different endings with multiple very different playthroughs just because I picked a different clan, or I've done a slightly different build here and there. And so that, for me, having those narrative choices and options in game is very important. For multiplayer, I would say getting that perfect mix between player ability and RNG. And this sort of hits as well with your Hearthstone, but in particular for PUBG. Having that RNG with the gear drops, with the circle placement, all that sort of stuff, then amplified by player abilities and that random factor of having players in there as well, I think is really good. Because you can imagine how boring or repetitive that game was. Imagine if the circle was in the same place every time.
Oh, yeah.
Or the loot spawned in the exact place every time and it wasn't a percentile. Like, it wasn't a chance. That game would be horribly boring and repetitive. But at the same time, it then leads me to my next point of a game can have no RNG, and as long as the players' like skill levels and the player interactivity is varied enough, it's a rewarding experience. And so for that, I'm talking more along the lines of Counter-Strike, those sort of games, or like Call of Duty.
I was thinking
or,
fighting games are a good example of that as well.
Yeah, any of the actual fighting games where even though everyone has the same selection of characters, or like Dota, any of the MOBAs, anything like that, where even though there's very set parts of doing things, like, oh yeah, you're going to make sure you cover this area over here, all right, they're always going to snipe through this hole, or they're always going to rush this lane because of this is how the map is with these characters. Knowing that and getting that build-up of that meta game going is very important for replayability, in my mind.
Makes sense. Jan, what about you? What do you look for?
The games that I return to frequently either tend to have a component of freedom, where I've got a choice of how I want to play on the day I happen to log on. If I'm in a fighting mood, I can go fight something. If I want to explore, I can. If I want to craft and build and be creative, I can. that keeps me coming back because, you know, my mood, what I want to achieve on any given day might change depending on how much sleep I've had or what I had for dinner. I don't know. If not that, then definitely a multiplayer aspect, and one that it's either a new experience each time with a level playing field, or one that's really progressive in an interesting way, but not so much that I get separated from my group. I've played a number of really good multiplayer games where my friends just accelerated beyond me very quickly, and I just did not revisit. Like Diablo 3, heaps of fun, but I just got left behind, and that really hampered my interest. Like I was less keen to go back because I knew I'd have to grind quite swiftly to even have a hope of catching up. So, you know, a good balanced multiplayer experience.
Cool. Magpie Memo, how about you?
Magpie Memo.
Yeah, you're always after the new shiny. You said so yourself.
Oh. No, I said I buy lots of games.
It's kind of the same thing functionally. All right, anyway.
Sort of. Replay value for me is much the same as Jam. Like, I need to be able to be achieving something or at least have the freedom to try it, like playing a different way or doing new things. And I definitely can echo Jam's thoughts of multiplayer games where leveling is a thing and I don't have time. And I mean, just towards the end of the PS4 play, everyone was playing on PS4, playing with Destiny. I just got to a point, I was like, yeah, I'm keeping up. And then like everybody went like raid ready really quickly and I just was not there at all and didn't have the time to do it. And at the moment, that my life is going more that way and is looking like it's not going to go back. So for me, it's going to have to be games that I can pick up and put down as well will be replay value. Yep. So games like Minecraft where I can hop in for an hour or 2 hours, or I can spend a whole day playing it, or 20 minutes because I can play solo games but only so much before I just prefer to stare at the wall or the sky, really. So yeah, so not dissimilar to a Magpie, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll echo sort of, you know, part of what you've said as well. For me, it's about the progression too. Like, I really like to get onto a game and feel like I'm achieving something and progressing somewhere. Like, you know,
that's exactly it. Yeah. Achievements for me. Love it.
It doesn't have to be your typical achievements like your Xbox sort of, you know, environment achievements or anything like that, or trophies and stuff. You just need to feel like you've actually gone somewhere from where you began after your PlayStation. So
I think a big ongoing achievement is for Mimo is when she meets the character voiced by Matt Mercer. That should just be an achievement in every game. I found him.
Yeah.
I found him.
Ding ding.
Ding ding. Oh no, it's fast becoming Critical Role. These are Critical Role people. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean, I obviously look for games that are just, you know, repeatedly fun, just have that gameplay loop that's satisfying, and that's Destiny for me. I really enjoy the general sort of running and shooting of Destiny. But probably one of the biggest, most important things for me when it comes to, like, replay value for games, I like games that I have that confidence that they're going to be around for a while. Like, if you're going to invest time and effort into them, you don't want something that, like, everyone's going to migrate away from in the next 12 months, because then that time will effectively be wasted when no one's around to play with you. So
12 months is a bit much.
I just don't see it. I get it. I just don't see it that way.
It
if we only
depends on
played
the game.
Minecraft for a year, would you consider that time wasted, even though you had all of those lols?
No. Look,
I think
it
if it was
absolutely
a month
depends
you
on
were
the game.
concerned about.
Yeah, and
then I'd understand.
it also matters whether you're investing time or money or both as well. Like, I'll be much more likely to invest money into like a game as a service if I know that service is going to continue for quite some time. So, Hearthstone, classic example. Hearthstone ticks so many of these boxes for me because I know that it's a game that is popular enough it's going to be around for a long, long time. It's got that, scheduled content drop where I know roughly what times a year there's going to be new sets coming out because that's almost running like clockwork at this point. It's got the multiplayer element. It's got the short, flexible sort of game times. It's got the different gameplay modes. It's got all of that stuff. So that's part of the reason why for me that's one of my favorite games of all time.
There's a danger to long-term replay value games. And that is, I hope it doesn't happen to Hearthstone, but for me, World of Warcraft, I will play it, but I know I'm not going to dive back in, and it's not because I'm not addicted to it anymore. I most definitely still am. It's so much has changed. Like, it's not the WoW that I fell in love with, and I don't know. I hope that Hearthstone has a while to go yet before it stops being the game that you started playing it for.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think, them having that separate wild mode to the standard mode where you've got your most current stuff versus your all stuff combined for all time is a good way to combat that a little bit. Yeah, which is cool.
I'm not suggesting that these games should stay the same forever. Absolutely, I think they should change. But it's just if you play it if you were there from the beginning, sometimes a lot of change can change the way what that game means to you and how you play it.
For sure. And that'll be something that a lot of people will rediscover very soon when the World of Warcraft Classic servers come out, I suspect. So.
Oh, I can't wait. I think I'm more excited about that than I am about the new expansion.
Yeah, that is super fair.
That's awesome.
All right, well, that is a good wrap then. So replay on games. There's still a good reason to go back to some of the old favourites even in a year like this year, which is cool. I think, I'm pretty confident that some of the games that, when we all as a group started playing online together, which wasn't that long ago in the scheme of things, it was probably about 3 years or so. We've been, some of us have been friends a lot longer than that, but when we all really started playing online together was kind of around the same time, and we were going through some of those old favourites that we're still playing today. I'd love to sort of see that we're still playing those games in years to come. I think that'd be really cool. So,
well, what was our friend anniversary on Facebook, Luke?
like 3 years, I think. Recently,
yep.
So
so it's been 3 years.
Mm-hmm. And I think that probably kicked off when we were playing Minecraft.
I think everybody was doing Minecraft at the same time, or I think I was playing Minecraft with a friend at the time, and I was like,
yeah,
and
that's when I got my PC proper gaming PC for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3
Finally.
years. Holy crap, guys!
Yep,
We
good
haven't
times.
killed each other yet.
I know.
There's still time.
Because we're over the internet.
We're doing pixels repeatedly.
Yeah, pixel killing.
Pixel death.
Yeah. Just
Completely legal.
Get it out of our systems. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, anyway, that is a wrap for tonight. So thank you, everybody, for listening. It has been another great show. And you can get hold of us using all of the usual methods. So please hit us up at mail@partyloaded.com for email. We are on Facebook, Partyloaded, and on Twitter @PartyLoadedShow. We've got the usual content on YouTube. So you can check out youtube.com/channelendgame for all of that. And stay tuned next week when we're back in 7 days' time to talk about something else fun and exciting in the world of video games. So speaking of the next 7 days, what's everyone got planned for this week? Anything on your list to do? So Imogen, you finished Dream Daddy now. What's next off the chopping block for you?
I need to pick one of my AAAs to finish. I need to finish Ori. I need to finish Persona 5. So I think I just need to buckle down and stop searching Steam for $3 games that will occupy my time.
Oh, Memo, did I tell you about the $3 game that should be occupying your time?
Oh, man, no, the stupid flight thing.
Don't mention the $2 one either then.
So anything that Jam recommends is usually good, but if Jam says my brother really enjoys it and he finds it really hard, stuff that, because Jam's brother is basically like a superhuman when it comes to playing games. So if he finds it hard, I am not playing. Like that stupid disc game. What was that? Throwing the discs.
Oh,
Disc Jam. Yep.
Disc Jam.
awesome.
That was stupid. That game is not for me. No, thank you.
Does everyone feel like there's anything that they need to get off their list before we start talking about our favourites of the year with our party favourites in
Ori.
December?
Yeah,
Ori?
Horizon.
Ori and the Blind Forest and Persona 5.
Finch
I need to
for me.
finish
Edith
Persona
Finch
5.
for you, yeah.
Keep promising it.
Oh, yeah,
but
Edith Finch.
Guys,
fucking hell, I'm dragging my feet.
Serious. Like, of all the priority lists of games that I've recommended, this goes above Ori. Like, this game,
Okay,
for serious.
Yeah.
it will happen. It will 100% happen.
I'll make a commitment
Jason,
to play
I
What
know you're
Remains of
listening.
Edith Finch before we
Yeah.
discuss those games in December. I will do it by then.
Actually, Jason was asking not like 2 hours ago what his next game should be.
Yep.
What remains of Edith Finch, Jason?
There you go.
Live
And for
vicariously
me-
through me.
For me, over the next week, I just picked up Brandon Sanderson's new book at the bookstore, and I really wanted to ditch
The
you
jam is
nerds
gone.
so that I could read it. So
Yeah.
I might disappear a little bit. I mean, we'll see.
That's fair.
Just into the
Heavy
reading
into
chair.
the comics,
enormous.
reading.
You could be reading that while in 2 days' time I'm binge watching Punisher like a mofo. So
Oh, yeah.
So what you're
Oh my
saying
God.
is, for Luke and Jam, not much gaming.
Oh no, that's not true at all. I'll be playing GTA to complement my Punisher action with other gun running shenanigans.
Yeah.
So
I'll be switching. So I'll primarily be reading when I'm commuting. So I just bought it like hardcover to go on my shelf, and I'm going to buy it on my Kindle so that I can read it on the way to
I
and
was
from
gonna
work.
say, like, that new Brandon Sanderson book.
I cannot
Brandon.
carry that around.
Yeah, like if you're going to read that on public transport, you can also consider that a weapon and potentially like carry on baggage. Like, holy crap, that's a big book.
So that's
Man
my
loves
pretty
his
for my
words.
shelf. I had to complete the set. I've got the full version sets, not the split down
Sarah, the
Nice.
split ones.
Yeah.
I need to. Is this the guy that we saw at Comic-Con? You're like, oh my god, he's
Yes.
the best, and we'll come
Yes.
back, and then we never went back.
Yes. The
Yeah.
guy's prolific. It's amazing. I don't understand how he produces so many quality books in a year, but I'd forgotten it came out too. I got an email in my inbox this morning and I went, I have to go to the
I saw
bookstore.
it on Critical Role of all places. Like when you like posted about it, I just finished watching an episode where they were sponsored by Tor Books.
Yeah.
who
Oh,
publish it.
cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very exciting.
All right, well, books aside, let's go and play some of these games that we've been talking about and have some fun. We'll be back again next week. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And for us tonight, good night.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.